Hello everyone, I am Gilflo.
I'm Lord Speech.
And we are the Video Game Archivists, and today we are reviewing Road Rash 64. Alright. So, I'm gonna go ahead and just start a game up. Let's talk a little bit about this game. So, you have obviously 4 bikes per level to choose from. You can customize any character you want. And that's pretty much it. Each bike has a different weapon. And this game seems to get really bad scores, which I'm not 100% sure why on.
Well, I knew at least, when it comes to, even at the time, I've had I played racing games back then on the N64. It just felt better turning and stuff. But then again, at the same time, it's not really the point of this game. It's more to beat the shit out of everybody.
Correct, yeah. It's just fun on bikes. So, as far as, a racer goes, it's just that. It's a arcade racer on motorcycles. This game was originally released on the Sega, if I'm correct, for the first Road Rash.
Yeah, I think they said, I don't remember Sega Genesis, but
yeah. So, one of the things, if you'd watch our live stream, you'll notice that I do that to people when I play. Spleech, not so much. I did not have a memory pack when I played this game originally. So, I had to beat every level every time I turned the game on in order to do it.
I don't have a memory card, so I gotta really get out of the game.
So, I got really good at wrecking people in the early game.
Yeah, which I will say, I'm surprised you can even do the pit maneuver, which it's an acronym, but I forgot what it was, and I'm not gonna bother looking it up. Because I think realistically, you couldn't do that with a bike, but that's hilarious that you can actually do it in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. Alright, and we won. Cool. So anyway, it's a basic racing game. Not a lot to it. You do have a weapon. It's about carnage and everything. And that's pretty much it. I think the controls are really good, minus the really sharp turns. You really have to think about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like as playing this. Now, I didn't have as much nostalgia growing up before this one, because my nostalgia is when I first started hanging out with Gil.
Yeah.
So it's more or less, we were playing multiplayer and beating the shit out of each other.
Yep.
But
I will knock it. It does have very basic level design.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get out of here. Let's type some button codes in. Let me show everyone what's wrong with this game. All right. Do you want to go ahead and grab a controller there?
Yep.
So you have 5 levels in the main playthrough of the game. You basically have to buy a bike, qualify on 8 of the races. And then you get this lovely thing called Insanity. Let's go ahead and do it. So there's 2 bikes to pick from. They have equal stats. There is no difference between them.
Except looks.
Except for looks, yep. And we're just going to go ahead and let it explain for itself what happens. I'm going to try to...
I hit the wrong button. Oops.
Oh god, I'm already out of control. Alright, so we're moving. We're going pretty fast. We're flying.
Oh, geez.
And we tried to turn, and we've lost control of our vehicles. And I almost got on the boat, which has 20 weapons.
Okay. I was running like the Lord.
So this is the thing about the end game, right? So there is one more unlockable hidden behind Insanity. They're scooters. They're little tiny scooter level, and you can't get it until you beat Big Race or use button to unlock.
Okay, I did not know that until you actually just told me.
So like I said, I didn't have a memory card, so I would play for hours, stay up all night with my friends, and we would get it to Insanity and play and play and play and never could qualify. Because, as you see, it's not about getting in first. It's about not wrecking, which is impossible to do because you can't control these bikes. Everything up to this point plays wonderful, and then you get to this point and you hit a wall.
Die.
You hit a wall, right? I'm not really sure why people dislike this game. If you like racers with combat, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I will say, if you were literally judging by this and this alone, and this was the entire game, yeah, that would be a bad game.
Correct.
But to me,
so we're gonna quit out of that.
Until you mentioned there was actually a locker behind it.
Yep.
I really couldn't knock it. Now, if you're trying to complete it, yeah, that's kind of a big knock because you have nearly impossible levels. But if you consider this a completion bonus, it's funny.
So we're gonna take a YouTube hit on this song. Let me see if I can turn off the sounds.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna cut the music because, as you just heard, that was Sugar Ray's "Mean Machine." If you didn't know, Sugar Ray actually had some metal songs. So there's only like 4 songs in this thing. That's the other thing. After a while, the songs become repetitive. Thankfully, you can change the sound there. Multiplayer beyond 2 players. Now, me and you didn't get into this when we played through the game.
Yeah.
But you lose computer players once you get past 3.
Yeah, I'm not surprised on that, but that's N64 in general.
Yeah.
Resolution goes down, especially when you start split screen and everything. But that was it for the time, so.
All right, so let's see if I did this correctly. We're going to go do one more race. We're going to go down from Insanity to, we'll do level 3. I want to see, I should have unlocked all weapons if I did it correctly. And we'll see if it does or not. Because I want to show off the weapons. There's some fun weapons, right?
Now, I'm going to go ahead and do a super bike myself just because at least the super bikes actually do mitigate some of the churning problems.
Yep. So, again, there's not a lot of options. You get 4 per level. You get 2 super bikes, 2 choppers. They each have different stats. And when you play through the main game, you need to hit.
Oh.
Thank you.
Sorry. Sorry, sir.
Oh, yeah, I got all the weapons. Let's find the... Oh, hey, I have a banana. I have a banana.
Okay, that's hilarious.
We also have the shock stick. Cattle prod. Which you see everyone flailing about. Yep, took them out with me. So, there's a ton of different weapons in this game. You have taser, you have pepper spray. We're just going to go ahead and spray this guy here.
Which, oh god, if someone did that to me in like real life, and it's like, oh god.
We also have nunchucks, which we never got during our playthrough, which is cool because you swim around when you're charging up. What else do we have? We have the chain. Pretty brutal.
Right now,
we have our fist.
There we go.
So that's the weapons. And that's about it.
Oh, fuck.
You can also wheelie off cars. I've never been able to wheelie off of an 18-wheeler. Which kind of sucks. That was my goal. I never did it.
Well, the game as we were going on didn't really give you too much actual chances to hit the 18-wheeler without the 18-wheeler basically being a fucking block.
Yeah, so I don't know if you noticed, if you look down on my screen, I just wrecked there. I was 300 kilometers behind other players. Now I'm right up there. So rubber banding will work against you if you're really good at this game and you get an early lead, but it'll also work for you if you start falling behind. The last thing I want to talk about is durability. You saw a wreck there. My top bar goes away. My second bar kind of goes down. The top bar is your life on the bike this round, and then the bottom bar is your bike's durability. Once you lose all that durability, you are wrecked out, which I'm going to wreck out, just to show that off. And you know, actually, the other way you get knocked out is if you get
pulled over by a cop.
You get knocked off your bike by a cop. Yep. So I've wrecked out now. It should... Oh, yep, so I'm wrecked. If I got hit by a cop, I'd be busted. So that's pretty much the mechanics of the game. There's not really a whole lot more to say about that.
Yeah. Now, I will say, as far as the rubber banding, like, for other racers,
yeah,
like, the rubber banding would be absolutely terrible. But the whole point of this game is the mayhem.
It's the combat.
And it's, of course, now, the only thing that sucks is, like, when you get if you get knocked off your bike, not necessarily wrecked out, but knocked off your bike near the end, you're screwed.
Yep.
But, you know, that's kind of if you crash your car enough in, like, regular races. But the point is to beat the shit out of people. So, for me, I do appreciate the rubber banding, obviously, if you suck at the game, to help you at least get back into the fray. But as far as, like, a regular racer, I can't exactly knock it down just because it's more for the rubber, you know, the beating the shit out of people.
With that, let's get into the rating system. If you haven't seen one of our reviews, obviously 50 is right in the middle. There's nothing special about the game. There's nothing bad about the game. It's just kind of meh. Everything above it all the way up to 100 is good to perfect. Everything below it is from bad to Superman 64. Foreshadowing on that, of course. 90 and above is essentially one of the greatest games ever made. 100's one of the most unachievable things. One obviously was achieved by a game on the 64. Moving on, we're going to go right into our ratings. So, looking back in the game, if it was released in the 96, 98, I'm not sure when this game released, but if it was released in the N64's lifetime, this is how we rated it. So, I gave it an 80. I thought it was a great game. I didn't think it was one of the all-time greats, but barely there. The problem with this game is it gets boring after a while. As a kid, I could play it more than I can now. Playing it this time, we'll get into in the next part, but I enjoyed it a lot more as a kid, but I played a ton of it. So why don't we talk about, you gave it a
Now, I
good-
gave it a 78 because I think it's still, for back then, it's a good game. Now, obviously, back then, too, even I would, knock it down just because, the turning's not as good for a racer. But as a kid, laugh, I'm beating the shit out of people. And, I was already getting into that mood because of Mortal Kombat back in the day, so But the fact is, as a multiplayer game, it's why I still consider it a good game because that's the point. Beat the shit out of your friends and have fun.
Correct, yeah. The multiplayer is really what makes the game continuously playable.
And I will say, if anything, to knock it into a good game range for me, it's best just to have the button codes ready, so that way you can unlock what you need to.
Correct, yep.
To get to the later levels.
Yep. And that's pretty much it. I don't think it was a bad game when it came out, and we'll go to today's score. So I did knock it down 3 points. That's because I got bored of it. We only played this game for 4 hours, and I was done with it. I didn't want to play it anymore. We put the button codes in.
Just get the insanity.
But you're right. I love putting it in now, playing it with one other friend. I don't like this game on 4-player mode, like I said, because it's just you four. You don't have the computer players there to beat up as well.
Yeah, and obviously it's the bad back in the hardware in the day, even for the PlayStation. It's like the more people get into it, the lower resolution, so the game has to at least keep it up for the main players while taking away stuff for everything. Either the HUD or but obviously in this game, it's the other racers.
So you dropped yours to a 74. What rust showed on this game that made you drop it from?
Honestly, I mean, sure, I could look at it graphically, but I usually don't. And for me, it's just more or less, the churning itself. It's like, as you get into later levels, for at least the single player, it's like, you kind of have to have the superbike to at least mitigate it. But some of the sharper turns in later levels and later tracks, they're technically unfair when it comes to these bikes.
Absolutely.
I still consider it a good game just for the sake of, hey, when you're playing multiplayer, even back then and now, it's literally there for the multiplayer, in my opinion.
And I think one of the things as a kid, the nostalgia side of it, is like the insanity you kept trying and beating your head against a wall because there was something locked behind it.
Yeah.
You couldn't truly beat the game, and I was a big completionist when I was a kid. I wanted to beat the game minimum. Not necessarily 100%, but I wanted to beat it. And I couldn't because Insanity is so impossible. It's fun for level 8 because it's just straight shot, straight into a wall, and if you don't hit the jump button, you slam in the wall and wreck.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but that really takes away from the game. So instead of getting 48 levels, you only get 40 true levels you can play.
Yeah.
So overall rating, it's a combination of both our scores for nostalgia and holding up now is a 77 out of 100. Yeah. It's a good game. I do recommend playing it, but the price tag on it is, if you're collecting, I would not prioritize it.
Yeah.
It's $31, which is pretty much the same as Super Mario 64.
Well, in my opinion, that's not necessarily bad. But you do have to have that mindset of looking for a great multiplayer game, especially if you and your group of friends, let's say you have a party night, and there you go. You got one fun game especially, if you're into drinking. Oh, that's just right there.
It comes down to what you're looking for. I don't think this game's for everyone. I think a lot of people have given it bad reviews because, it's not for everyone. It's basically an arcade racer on motorcycles. You beat the crap out of each other, pop wheelies, and get different weapons.
Yeah, it's basically, I think, to me, it's like you only really lower the scores, like actually consider it a bad game. But that is if you're looking at it as a pure racer. If you're looking at it as the fun melee, if you actually have that mindset, you realize it's actually a pretty decent game.
Yep. So that's all for our review today. Hopefully it helps you with needing to know if you want to play this game, buy this game, whatnot. You can catch us on Twitch where we play each one of these games before we do the review at the Video Game Archivist. There is an underscore in between each one. And then on Twitter at game_archivist. And then the Video Game Archivist on YouTube. So thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
See ya.